Brian.
Yeah, Gurmaga Ceann Corling. And at the outset, can I thank all colleagues from the three government parties and indeed those members of the opposition who have spoken in our favour this evening. I think what people have been able to witness, those who have watched the debate, is the contrast between those who want to solve the housing situation and those who want to manipulate it. And people will make up their minds on that at the appropriate time. I'm glad the debate is coming to an end right now, because we might have no more Sinn Féin TDs in the House if it continues any longer, because we're down to less than a third. Because I did know. But look, it's a very important issue that we're debating, and I'm acutely aware, and all my government colleagues are, of the challenge that this country has in tackling and solving the housing crisis. And all of us in this House, be they government or opposition, whether some like it or not, actually do have a responsibility to help in resolving that. Not to capitalise on it, not to manipulate it, not to sow division, not to block, delay, use any tactic that why you can't support a piece of legislation that's going to fast-track the delivery of the social homes that all of us in government want, many of you in opposition say you want, but then when it comes down to it, when you're actually asked to press the button, to press tall and to support it, you don't. So the proposers of the motion yesterday, which would have been taken tomorrow, and yes, government put down a motion of confidence, but the reason we're debating this is because of our colleagues in the opposition from People Before Profit. And the members in People Before Profit regularly state, we should build public housing on public land. And you know what? This government agrees with that. But this government is doing that. So when the government brought forward legislation to do that very thing, to have an agency, a land development agency, to set it up on a statutory footing, on a legislative footing, what do? You vote against it. Now, you weren't the only ones. In fairness, Sinn Féin voted against it. Cian O'Callaghan and his friends and Social Democrats voted against it. I'm assuming a number of our colleagues opposite as well also voted against it. And you know what that agency is doing this year? Delivered its first homes this year on state land, has broken ground on the biggest social and affordable housing site that this country has actually seen in decades, in Shanganagh Castle, which I know Deputy Boyd Barrett had difficulties with as well. So well, that might be a first, so okay, I'll stand to be corrected and I'll go back and check the council record, because I would say now, anyway, to get on with it. But there's a very serious thing that this government is engaged in, and that is about providing housing for all. And that's why this government, all three parties of this government, have put together a comprehensive plan that's very detailed and very clear for anyone to read it who wants to read it. And put that out of the actions that across government that this government needs to take to improve the situation for our citizens in this republic. No one on the opposition benches has put forward an alternative comparable to it. Nobody. And I ask any fair assessment of that will show that. But not only have we put a plan together, we backed it with finance. And we're actually delivering it. So what will we do this year on social housing? Because this government believes in social housing. And we do believe, and even though some in the opposition, the main opposition party in particular, will try to paint this them and us attitude, you know, that we don't get it, that we don't understand it, that we don't meet people. I represent the people of Dublin, Fingal and my constituency, and I want to thank the hundreds of them and across the country who were in touch with me over the last week, giving their support, but also acknowledging what some of you don't want to acknowledge, that this is a very complex situation, that it's not easy to resolve this, but we will resolve it. But some want to paint this in very simplistic terms, that we have a solution like that and we can sort it. No, you can't. And in fairness, the public know that too. And let's show some respect to the voters out there as well. And that respect should extend to the fact that when you bring forward alternatives, they should stack up and they should be implementable. And if you support social housing across this country, don't object to it. Don't let your councillors go in and object time after time after time and find reasons why you should object, any reason. Don't object and don't vote against legislation that's going to fast-track the delivery of social and affordable housing. Don't vote against legislation that means that we can build on state-owned land, that we can deliver 100% affordable and social housing. And even the Social Democrats who say they want cost rental, this government delivered it. Whether we delivered it within 12 months didn't exist. voted against the Affordable Housing Act that actually sets up cost rental, a national scheme right across the board. So when I meet, if I do meet, but from time to time I do, Social Democrat councillors around the country going to the opening of new housing estates, I'll welcome them there. But you've got to ensure, and we've got to ensure, that we're delivering the supply that we need across the board. And actually, thankfully, we're doing that this year. Now, is it enough? Of course it's not enough. Do we want to build the capacity up to be able to do more? Yes, of course we do. And that's the whole purpose of this plan, because you do not go from 20,000 homes in one year to 40,000 the next. It is simply not doable. But what we have shown is a way to get there, and a way to actually do that. Putting home ownership right back at the centre of housing solutions in this country for our young women and young men right across this country who are working and who are renting and who want to be able to own their home. They can now do that. 16,000 first-time buyers in the last year alone. The First Home Scheme, the state stepping in to take the equity between the finance someone has and what they need. We've done it. It's in place, and more people are getting out of that rental trap and actually accessing the scheme. What do people before profit do? What does Sinn Féin do? Against. And I do think, actually, it's a political judgment that has been made by many in the opposition to slow down progress, so there isn't progress in 2 years' time. You have a responsibility, colleagues. You have a responsibility to ensure that our citizens have homes. And the #1 priority for us in this government is to tackle the homeless situation, the homeless crisis that is there right now. And we will do everything. And I, as Minister, will work every hour that is sent to make sure we turn around that situation. But fundamentally within that, it's about supplying new homes. So what I'd say to you, Deputy Boyd-Barrett and Deputy Murphy, and indeed others this evening, that when we're talking about supplying new homes, that do talk to your own councillors around the country. The letter that arrived in Carlow County Council on the 18th of November, one of your own councillors objecting to 42 senior citizens' houses in Carlow. Why? I asked the question why. What can be wrong with that? I asked Sinn Féin, what is wrong with vacancy grants? What is wrong with giving people the support that they need to tackle vacancy? Croí Cónaithe grants. So we have a suite of measures through our plan. We're focused on delivering it, and we'll continue to do it. And I would just, in conclusion, just to thank colleagues for their support this evening and for their contributions.